Round 1. Fight.
Heroes never die.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Power, sex, power. They both come down to one thing.
Hungry gamers.
Hello, and welcome, boys and girls, to the 218th episode of the Hungry Gamers podcast. We are powered by 8bit.net, Manscaped, and those sexy legends over at Audio Technica. But more on those guys and girls later. I'm your extremely humble host, Brendan White. You can find me just about everywhere at Brendan 8bit. And joining me today, the pizza to my cheese and bacon shapes, my podcast Ride or Die. You can find her on them socials at Miss Sally Hart. How you doing today, Miss Sally Hart? What up?
Hello, I'm glad you picked my favourite too. I would have been really pissy if you picked the wrong flavour. Something sacred.
I know. Your number one's my number two as far as the shape hierarchy.
Yeah, it's a very delicate thing as well, like a person's preferred shape flavour. So,
oh, yeah. Just
Okay.
full disclosure, listeners, anyone out there that's trying to promote chicken crimpy as the superior shape, unfollow me from all social media. Just do not talk to me anymore because it is trash. It's a stale tasting shape.
My number
Bye.
two is actually barbecue.
See, that's my three, so I can respect
Okay.
that. Barbecue's got good flavour. I used to love licking the barbecue shapes, just getting that
The little
red and green flavour
multicoloured, yeah.
sensation.
They were always like, if you were lucky, you would get the little packets for school. Like the little tiny packets.
Yep.
And yeah. Oh. Would you also empty the packet into your mouth as well, like all the seasoning? That
I'd make sure I'd get all that seasoning that fell off the bicky and finich it off with a little shot of flavour.
Goodness, yeah.
God, shapes are great. I love shapes.
I miss them so much. You don't know how hard it is to actually explain how great they are to Americans and how important they are and how nothing over here comes close. I found something that's similar to my pizza shapes. The brand Goldfish. I don't know if that ever made its ways to Australian shores, but
you can buy the goldfish from Costco.
Oh, okay.
But only the cheddar flavour.
Yeah. So they actually have a pizza blast flavor here, and it's pretty close. I wouldn't say it's the same, but it gets there. It gets the flavor done for when I know I want to get that hit, and I can't get. It's a drug addiction, man.
I like goldfish. I like because they're real crunchy, like little fishies, super crunchy, good flavour.
Actually, not bad. I've been introduced to also pretzel goldfish, and they're bomb.
Ooh,
they're actually bomb.
Okay.
We actually have 5
I
packets.
I got a good addiction to pretzels, so if they're in goldfish form, I would buy them. Like I'm going to be doing that pilgrimage probably to Costco on Tuesday.
If they've got
I know
them.
they sell goldfish. If they sell these pretzel ones, I'm going to buy them. And sadly, you can only buy them in like a pack of 3, and the packs are like legit. Like 2 kilo packs. I'm going to have 6 kilos worth of goldfish.
I think you'll be okay. I don't think they'll go stale.
No,
be fine.
no. I had a couple of packets of the cheddar ones in the cupboard for like 2 years because I just couldn't get through them all.
Really? That's my problem. It's just the easiest snack. Easy snacks are the dangerous ones. The ones that you could just like churn through really quickly. So
see, and they trick you because they're only little fish. So you can just sort of smash a lot of them, handfuls of them, and think, they're just little fishies.
Have a whole pond.
Whole pond just gestating in your stomach.
Pretty much. I gotta say, I'm kind of sad we didn't have our Halloween intro again. I really enjoyed last week's intro for the Halloween special, and I was like,
yeah, it was a bit different. It was a bit different. Like, maybe we'll do remixes. Any type of seasonal event we can try and change the intro to. We'll do it.
Yeah, unless any of our listeners are really good at mixing some stuff and they want to send something through.
Oh, hell yeah. Please do.
I do have a bone to pick with you, though.
Okay.
About the thumbnail we used to promote the episode of the Halloween special after me unloading that the most traumatizing horror movie was The Ring, and then you proceed to go, I know what I'll use for the thumbnail.
I thought it was on brand. Went full circle. Face your fears and
nice.
all that
Full
stuff,
circle on the ring. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I didn't even intend for that pun.
Well, great. Thank you for traumatizing me. I didn't traumatize me, but I'm like, that bastard.
It was a good listen back on that when I was doing the edit and going through some of our fears and traumas in the game and film and TV space and seeing what maybe shaped who we are today or maybe warped who we are today.
Yeah, warped. Warped sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, but I think the next sort of thematic episodes we've got coming up, we've got obviously Festivus to do, and then we'll do like our end of year, like sort of Christmas wrap up, but that's sort of it for the rest of the year, unless we try and pigeonhole it into some obscure celebration.
To be fair, it's freaking November. Like, we've got 2 months of the year left, so...
It's terrifying. It really is terrifying.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I mean, I guess I laugh with some kind of, like, psychotic element because of obviously everything that's going on over here. But the fact that there's only 2 months left of the year that was 2020.
Yeah, the mulligan.
Yeah, the mulligan. That's, perfect name for 2020.
But you know what? The year ain't over yet. We've still got American political dramas to unpack and deal with for maybe the next several weeks, potentially, depending on how that plays out. We've got Next Gen coming out this week.
Yeah.
We've got plenty of cool things going on around the traps. We've got a new Craft movie, of all things. They made a sequel to The Craft. What in the hell?
I accidentally stumbled upon advertisement for that, and I just went, who wants this?
Mm-hmm. It's out now too, I just remembered, because I was going to maybe go to the movies with my mum today, but I think we're just going to buy popcorn from the movies and watch movies at home because, comfort, all that kind of stuff. And my guts, full disclosure, I'm putting Domino's on blast because they've been putting my ass on blast since last night. Like, had the fabled barbecue chicken and bacon and cheesy garlic bread. You can't not have one without the other. And I don't know what they've done to their recipe today, or last night, I should say, but I have been on and off the toilet from dinner time to recording time. And isn't that good, Domino's? It's killing me.
I saw your post on Twitter about this, and then everyone that was like slamming Domino's in your responses. And I was a bit shocked because from my last experience of Australian Domino's, not bad. Like, bacon looked like bacon and vegetables looked like how they should. They didn't look like miscellaneous coloured objects on a
It didn't
pizza.
look like barbecue-shaped seasoning.
Exactly. So, I don't know. I've always had, like, a pretty decent experience with Domino's. The only time I wouldn't get them is because, cheesy crust, man.
From Pizza
I'm
Hut?
about that life, yeah. So, if I have the option to be able to get access to cheesy crust, everything else goes out the window.
Yeah, so everything's going out my ass window right now.
Yes.
Yeah, like the window is wide open, the curtains are flying, and just stuff is coming out.
Good
like,
morning,
it is.
listeners. Anyone that listens to us on their drive to work in the morning.
Just picture that scene in
Don't picture
Wizard of Oz
anything.
where the house is flying in that hurricane. Like, my ass is that hurricane, and things are just
And all the
in orbit.
vegetables and meat and everything's just spinning around the window.
Yeah, it is not good. Not good. Outside of that, I was in the mother of all storms connecting the dots last weekend, and hailstones the size of fucking cricket balls rained down in my area. That was one of the scariest things I've ever been a part of, because I was driving when this hailstorm hit, and it was insane. It was something out of a movie, and I don't want to dwell on it too long, but I had to duck and cover in the car because there was glass and ice flying around the car as these things were hitting, and it was like hitting me. And then I'm looking, because there's a lot of cars on the road still, and we all pulled over. I'm just watching these cars get hit. Like, it was like a scene in some kind of war film where just this mortar fire was going boom through windshields and back windows and side windows and panels, and fuck, it was unlike anything I've ever seen from a weather situation that I've lived through.
I mean, I've been stuck in a hailstorm, like driving in a hailstorm and having to pull over, but that did legitimate damage. Like, you showed they were the size of your palm.
Yeah.
And then the actual damage that they did to your car, it was beyond ridiculous. What the hell was wrong with Mother Nature that day?
I don't know. It was the perfect combination of events happening in my area at the time. Storm hit throughout Brisbane, but it was only sort of maybe a 5K radius where this crazy ass hail dropped. And unluckily I was driving in it, but a lot of people copped it worse than I did. Like, there's a lot of houses that are unlivable right now. Like a guy I know through work, his house, the hail smashed through the ceiling tiles, and then obviously the rain came in, and then the rain just took the internal roof out, and their roof and internal of the house is just cooked. So there's thousands of people at the moment in a bad way. My car's a write-off, which sucks, but it could have been worse. It could have been a lot worse, but it was a crazy, crazy 36 hours because we lost power, lost my car, my roof had holes in it. It was bonkers. After recording that Halloween episode, maybe it was cursed.
I know.
But anyway, that's life. You know, you can't do much about it. You just got to roll with it and push through, and that's what I've done. So let's shift gears to maybe some positive discussion about a few games that we've been playing that we can have a bit of a chat about. Maybe you could call these like reviews in progress or ongoing impressions, because we haven't finished neither of these two games at the moment, but I think we've got a good enough opinion formed around them to have some good banter.
Yeah. Now, who wants to go first? I guess I'll go first because I think you probably have the more ranged interest of a game that's probably a bit more. So I was lucky enough to get my hands on the Yakuza Like a Dragon from Ryuga Gotoku Studio. I got to play this one on the Xbox. Now, I've obviously only just really recently dived into the Yakuza franchise, starting with 6, I believe, one of the more recent titles, and then being told that no, Yakuza 0 was where it was at, and by golly, everyone was right. So then proceeding to jump into Yakuza Like a Dragon, I felt like there's some benefit to being able to have that reference, because this game is very reference heavy, not deeply. Like, if this was the first game that you would play, you wouldn't be lost, because that this is actually following like a new character, Ichigo. Did I say that right? Which means number 1, right? Ichiban. Yeah. Sorry.
Ichiban Kasuga.
Yeah, Ichiban Kasuga. And so you're following this new character, new story. I'm not going to go too heavy into story because Yakuza franchises are usually very story heavy, and I think it's an important element of playing a Yakuza game, so I'm not going to do anything that's like spoiler heavy or anything like that. One thing that is different about this Yakuza, apart from following a different character, is the battling style. Like, usually it's like, it was kind of like an open brawler kind of thing, but now they've actually gone to turn-based, like RPG type combat. And I was worried about that because I liked how the previous Yakuza games, it was just like run up, punch whoever you want, punch this guy, punch that guy, just, go full at it. So turn-based kind of had me worried. But they've actually done really well with turn-based. It still has the chaotic, crazy kind of elements that the other Yakuza games have. You can still use items around you in attacks, which is usually a main thing that people enjoy in the Yakuza franchise. But the turn-based doesn't distract. Like, it's not like those other games where you kind of like, how usually everyone's kind of like lined up and everyone's just staring at each other. In this game, people are still moving. So if you encounter another gang or whoever, everyone's walking around, everyone's moving. So, people
That's
in
cool.
your party.
Not having them static like that, I think would break up the monotony of just people glued in place.
Exactly right. And I think it would, especially with the overall battling theme of Yakuza, it would just stand out like badly. So I think the way that they've done this is really well done. I also like that there's this whole new element about leveling up your character, which is also very like RPG. In regards to characters, the story, overall, Ichiban is adorable. He is such a lovable character, and his goal is just to be a hero. So this is kind of like what I've mentioned in previous games where these characters have very conflicting attitudes where they're like, I'm a dangerous Yakuza, but I have a heart of gold. So it's that kind of weirdness, but like the story in Like a Dragon is just next level crazy. Like the profanities that are spurt in the like first few minutes of playing this game is ridiculous, and you're chasing someone down because they're selling bear with me everyone, I know this seems very me, but you're chasing someone down because they're selling animal porn to school kids, but saying it's real porn. Yeah. So like it kind of like hits you right in the face, like with how wild the story's going to be.
Yeah, it sounds like it don't hold back right from the jump.
It doesn't. But in the same way, it's not too like in your face where it could come off as kind of just like too crass or too like off-putting. But overall, story's great. Characters are lovely. Ichiban is very endearing, and then the characters that you meet up along the way, because of this new battle style, you actually have a party, so you can add people to your party as you would.
Yeah, it's like a 4-person battle team, right? I
think so. Like I'm really only at the start, but I've seen like 4-person battle, but you have access to, I think it's about 8. 8 is from what I've seen, but you might be able to have more, and the range of characters too. Like I've recently met my my second character who can join the ranks, and he's a homeless person, and his moves are like stinky breath, and like I haven't gotten it yet, but I've seen the move where he just like he lays down, like he drops a cardboard and lays down and has a nap to recover his health. So
good on him.
I like the outlandishness. In regards to how far I am in the game, this is like the one thing that's really turned me off the game is there is a lot of just story, just watching like the movie sequences, and it just goes on and on. Like it got to a stage where, you know how with your Xbox controller or any controller that if you don't touch it for a while, your screen goes black? Yeah. That happened way too many times while I was playing this game.
Holy moly.
Like, because I'd just be sitting there just watching the story happening in front of me. And the story's, interesting, but it's just like, okay, like I kind of want to play the game now. Like,
it's sounding like very Metal Gear Solid-esque, like with 3 and then 4, like where there was just so many cutscenes where you're just sitting there watching it play out instead of playing it out.
Yeah, and it feels like that. I am going to say though, now that I'm into the 3rd chapter, I'm wondering, based on, like I said, I don't want to give away story, but based on how the story is going, I believe maybe the first 2 chapters are just essentially setting up the scene, and then where the rest of the playability of the game, where it really opens and expands. I mean, it takes you to a completely different location, which you're not usually familiar with playing the Yakuza games. So I'm thinking maybe after chapter 3, it kind of breaks open a little bit more, and maybe the long-winded story sequences aren't as frequent or as long, maybe. I don't know. And it sounds a little bit picky, but just like I said, like my controller like turned off a bunch of times, like, or wasn't touched enough. So, that sounds bad. But like, yeah, it took a bit, and it did kind of like drain me. Don't laugh. It kind of like drained me out a bit. I'm like, I want to play the game. Like, I want to get into it. Like, I really want to get into it. So when you're kind of just watching it, it's like, what am I doing here? There was also other times where the emotion was a bit lost on me when you would be walking into a story sequence and people, like NPCs in the environment around you, would just evaporate.
Okay.
Yeah, so they kind of had a
Did
Thanos
they come
situation.
Back again, or?
No. So
they just faded out.
They just fade out of the scene, because I'm assuming like when it's like trying to maybe establish like a little bit of story, a little bit of exposition, like they're like, oh, these people can't be here, and then in the middle of you watching what's happening, people around you are just like absolutely like vanishing into thin air. I'm like, what the hell is happening here?
Yeah, it's a bit immersion breaking.
It really is. The environment's great though. Like, it's a very classic Yakuza. The NPCs are a little bit annoying. Like, I feel like they get in your way on purpose. The enemies have been pretty cool. I've had to deal with boxers, like people who do boxing, people who have Molotov cocktails for some reason, and I've seen in the future that there's other characters like a flasher. So so I'm looking forward to that, obviously.
Yeah, see what abilities they've got.
Exactly. But overall, if anyone had thought about maybe picking up this game, especially considering I think it's coming out to the new gen at release for Xbox, not PlayStation.
Yeah, so it's Xbox and PlayStation 4 on November the 10th, but PlayStation 5 is March the 2nd next year. So there's a timed exclusivity attached to it around Xbox, PC, and PlayStation 4. But yeah, if you want it on next gen Sony, you're gonna have to wait till March.
Yeah, so if you're a person that maybe hasn't really dived into the Yakuza franchise or haven't even dipped a toe or not know much about it, you can actually pick this one up and it won't leave you not knowing what the hell's going on. It will just drop you in. It's a new story. You'll be able to follow along. You'll be able to experience the turn-based RPG style. So I don't know if you'll be able to go back from that into the other games, but for the most part, if you want this to be your first Yakuza game, it can be. And it's fun. It's adorable. The story's chaotic. It's wild, which, is perfect for me. And I'm enjoying it. I'm really looking forward to playing a little bit more and just having everything expand. Like recently I learned about, earning money through collecting cans in a can cart. So I'm going to race other homeless people to steal cans. That's honest work.
Good, honest work. 10 cents a can or 10 yen. I don't know what the conversion is over there as far as what you get per can.
Well, I got 150 yen and, Ichiban was very upset with that. So I'm like, okay, apparently that's not a lot. Actually, that was one thing that I also didn't like. In the previous games, I felt like you earned money very quickly. In this one, no. It's so difficult to earn money. It's like not as bountiful as the previous games and experience. So,
have you been doing a lot of those rando side quests and activities like the karaoke and they've got like a karting aspect in it, sort of like a Mario Kart vibe, don't they?
I've yet to reach it. Well, the can karting thing is very Mario Kart like, where there's these little routes where you have to collect cans, and it's very similar.
Maybe that's the one I was thinking of then,
But at this stage, they really haven't opened a lot of like little side quest things for me at the moment. And like I said, I'm only in chapter 3, so I'm thinking that everything will start opening up from that point on. I was really disappointed because I would go into, I went into this one building and it was like the sexy hotel or sexy room. I'm like, hell yeah. Went in there, it was just empty. And I was like, God damn it. Like, there's nothing in here.
That's my house. I call it the sexy room, and just people rock up and there's just
darkness.
Just me and two Frenchies sitting in the corner.
I did also encounter a game of mahjong, but with a bunch of old people. But the entry was 10,000 yen. And
holy moly.
Yeah,
that's some high stakes mahjong.
Yeah, telling me. Plus, I'm not 100% on how to play mahjong, so I wasn't willing to gamble either way. So no, I haven't had access to any of those kind of things yet. Restaurants, buying things, yes, but yeah, there seems to be, maybe they did it on purpose on the element of like earning money, and they kind of held you back a little bit. So
yeah, make you want to grind it out a little bit more.
Maybe. So just cut the story so then I can, because even if there were side quests available, I didn't go really looking for them too much because I guess the story dragged on a little bit. I kind of wanted to just, okay, let's move it along. I want to kind of get into this and start opening up more. So, but yeah, I'm going to keep playing it and going to obviously probably check back in next week and see how far I've gotten into and see if my experience has changed. And I'll check back in with everyone then. But for the most part, really enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm keen to play it. I'm going to be giving it a spin once I finish up this game I'm talking about, and then probably Miles Morales next week with next gen rocking up on our doorsteps.
Yes.
Logistically, touch wood. But yeah, I've been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla thanks to those legends over at Ubisoft. I've probably dug in maybe, I'd say 20 or so hours this week. So I'm pretty deep into the game. I've got a good grasp of what's happening from a narrative perspective. I've got all the gameplay mechanics down to a fine art. Like anyone that's played an Assassin's Creed game will feel comfortable picking up a controller or a keyboard and mouse to play Valhalla. It's cool. So it's set in 873 AD, and it's sort of a fictional retelling of the Viking invasion of Britain. And you're playing as Ivor, who can be male or female, or something that's cool with the game is depending on how you're playing, you can sort of set like a middle option where Ivor might change male to female depending on your choices. Oh. So like, and that's not like, you know, he or she's not a Viking transitioning. Like, it's not that kind of topicalness. It's just depending on how you play the game and you know, Terminus as they call it, which is like the augmented reality machine that the usual modern day characters jump in to replay these scenarios with their ancestors and things. Depending on the decisions you make, it can weave one way or the other. But I hard spec'd and went the male Ivor for now. One thing's cool, you can change at any time. So if you get sick of maybe playing as the male, you can flip it and play as the female equivalent, which is kind of cool. You can obviously romance males and or females depending on your choices and your sex as well. So you could be straight male, straight female, you know, gay female, gay male, bisexual, whatever. You know, it's pretty fast and loose back in 873 AD. But yeah, so it tells the story of Ivor. The game puts you in his shoes at the start when he's about, say, 10, 12 years old. Bad shit happens. You know, Vikings are always fighting and chaos ensues. And then there's a time jump until you're probably around it's 17 or so years later. So you're around 30-ish. It's hard to tell. He's battle hardened by then, got a couple of scars, got a pretty mean beard, head tattoos and stuff. So he's sort of a middle-aged Viking coming up. He's sort of got a bit of prowess around the lands, but due to some sort of I guess family decisions and that constant Viking disruptiveness through Norway, him and his brother Sigurd have decided, bugger it, we're moving on, we're going to take a crew and we're going to try and establish a new clan, a new establishment, a new settlement over in Britain somewhere. So it shoots you over to Britain, and then from there you're raiding, you're assaulting monasteries and things to get gear to build up your settlement, and then sort of it's just weaving in loose things that happened in real life back then, but also I guess playing on it a little bit because there is some heavy emphasis on like Norse gods, Norse mythology, things like that. But as far as the story itself, similar to what you were saying, I don't want to go into the meat and potatoes. I don't want to spoil anything because there's some really cool twists and some cool reveals and some cool betrayals and all that kind of stuff that you're used to, I guess, in that Assassin's Creed world. You know, a lot of high stakes situations. And the cool thing with this game as well, as far as how things play out, there is a lot of conversation, dialogues, trees that branch out. So depending on how you want to attack certain situations, you could maybe charm your way through it. You could potentially just, I guess, almost intimidate your way into situations to get in and out of combat or maybe get the things you need. So depending on how you react and the decisions you make during the game itself, the story will play out different ways, which is kind of cool. Similar, I guess, what you were saying with Yakuza as well. Like they're really, really starting to double down on the RPG focus, which they've sort of started to focus on with Odyssey and Origins. So you've got massive skill trees. Like it's sort of shown as like the Norse astrology system, almost, you can see, like when you're picking skills, certain ones you pick would then open up an arc over here that could give you certain buffs, certain abilities, or it could go another way. So depending on how you want to play, whether you want to be more of that typical stealth Assassin's Creed character attacking from the shadows, assassinating people all the time, you can do that. You can focus more on using your bow and arrow, or the way I seem to be playing a lot is I'm just going pure Viking. Like I'm just rolling in. I'm dual welding axes and just cutting dudes up left, right, and center. And one cool thing with the combat, like they've really scaled back the amount of weapons and armor sets and things you can get in the game. Like the previous few games, it felt like you were just drowning in loot. Like every time you do a new mission, it's like, here's 17 new axes and 17 new helmets. And you're like, fuck, like what am I doing with this? Like they've really cut that back, and instead with your gear, you just sort of upgrade it and enhance it in the game. So you might only have, say, a half a dozen different types of armor or a half a dozen different weapons, but you can go to the blacksmith and enhance. So it starts to get better abilities. You can put runes in to socket it for buffs as well. And also then they start looking a lot prettier too. They're getting like very ornate and like, really nice craftsmanship. So you sort of get attached to what you're using in the game as far as weapons and your armor set. And obviously they all will give you different buffs as far as if you wanted to play more stealth, play more aggressive, so on and so forth. So that's kind of cool. I like that you sort of get familiar with your weapons and how you play. On the weapon front, you can dual wield literally anything. So you could dual wield shields if you wanted. So I did it just for shits and giggles, just to see how it will play. And it is as chaotic as you'd imagine it to be. Like, you got two shields on your arms and you're swinging them like double Captain Americas, and you're like hitting dudes in the throat with it and spinning it around. Like, it was fun, but I've sort of settled on I'm dual wielding two axes, like two hand axes. That's the way to go. So you've got your light and your heavy attacks, and you can also then like hold in left bumper or L1 if you're on the PlayStation to do like just a crazy like barrage, and then you've got your abilities on top. So in the Assassin's Creed games, as you know, like the game rewards you for exploration and finding hidden chests and random legendary artifacts and things like that. And you can find books, like knowledge books within the world, and those knowledge books teach you certain abilities. So you could have you can have up to 4 buttons, like 4 face buttons mapped for ranged abilities and also 4 for melee abilities. And that can be, throwing a barrage of axes. That can be doing a big jump launch attack with a big massive crit on the end of it. Shooting a heap of arrows through the sky into an area, stuff like that. So you can really play a variety of ways as far as how you want to go from point A to point B. Early on, I found the combat felt a little iffy to me. Maybe it was a mixture of your gear levels not being that great, so you don't have the abilities and you're just literally just parrying R1 or R2, parry, roll around R1 or R2. So it sort of felt a little vanilla.
Okay.
But once you start getting some of these abilities, you can really start to feel like you're a badass Viking. And one thing that I've noticed as well, I could be wrong, but I can't remember like dismembering and amputations in the previous Assassin's Creed games. I could be wrong, but in this one, you're cutting dudes' heads off, you're cutting dudes' arms and hands and legs off. Like, they don't hold back.
It's good. They're keeping very authentic.
Oh yeah, there is viscera flying everywhere, and then like depending on the enemies and the enemy types you're fighting, there's certain kill animations sometimes, like the big pikemen with the spears. The final one, like you rip their spear off and like ram it through their head into the ground, so they're sort of on their knees, sort of bent over with a big spear through their head, impaling them in place on the ground. So yeah, like it's like that. It's very Mortal Kombat-esque. Like there's some crazy kill animations. And I think it's just like it's perfect for this game because it is Vikings, it is raiding, it is pillaging, it is plundering. Like you can be as, I guess, true to the Viking cause as you like. Like as I mentioned with raiding, like the way you get around, you've got a long ship or a long boat, you could say, and it's just you and like almost like your guerrilla crew of core Vikings, and you're squirting around the rivers through Britain. And you can pull up at certain establishments, just press Y to begin a raid. All your crew jump off, you sound the big horn, and then you're running in. And the goal is to just pillage and plunder. There's usually sort of special treasures and supplies to then enhance your settlement in these monasteries. And once you get all the gear, you've conquered that area. So that's really cool. Seeing you and your Viking brethren running in and just cutting people up. Throwing torches, like setting houses on fire. Like it's hectic. Like you feel bad at times. I avoid trying to kill innocents, and the game also tells you to not kill innocents because it'll desynchronize the Artemis situation, and then the game will reset. So you're only killing the bad people, which I like. A Viking must have some form of code,
like a Yakuza.
Yeah, like a Yakuza, very much like a Yakuza. But once you're done raiding, like, you get certain supplies that you can only get during these raids to then enhance your settlement. So that's your township. And from there, you've got your main headquarters, and then there's an area for your core crew of Vikings. There's bakeries, there's trading posts, there's a tattoo and barber shop there, there's museums. Nice. So you really pimp out this town, and then you can also then customize certain areas to put certain decorations. So you can really, really make this settlement your own and feel very unique and unlike what maybe yourself or Jono or Mary Smith or whoever might be playing with their township. Like, the areas where you park these certain buildings is the same, but just the decorations you can change.
Okay.
But really cool, really cool. And it's nice to see that everything you do in the game, I guess, ultimately comes back to Viking life. You want to build the best area, this best settlement for the future of your people, really. That's the crux of this game. You want to not only, I guess, get glory as a Viking, but also set up your people for the future. As we were talking earlier with Yakuza as well, like, there's a lot of side activities you can do. You can hunt, you can fish, you can have like brawls, you can brawl for money. There's drinking contests, which is fucking crazy. Like, you've got to skull like 3 big horns of mead and against someone else, and it's rhythm based, and like, because people are like skull, 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 and they start chanting quicker and quicker, and you got to time the button, press quicker and quicker. But then as you start drinking, you get a drunken sway, so then you got to sort of reposition yourself as you're drinking to try and win, and it is intense. It is so fast, and like, not only just timing that button press, but like flicking the stick left or right to make sure you don't stumble over is awesome.
Imagine being the team that had to work on the authenticity of that element of the game.
Oh yeah. Oh, we've got to stress test it in real life again.
Got to get pissed again.
Get out the mead. There's also Orlog, which is like a mini dice game, so you've got some gambling in there.
Like Mahjong?
I am 0-2 in that. I've only played 2 games. I've noticed Orlog, it's long. It takes a while to play out these sort of exchanges. So that's why I'm like, I'll go back to it later, because I've just been having fun with everything else. And then there's Flyting, which is Viking rap battles. Yeah. So picture Viking 8 Mile. It is so great. It is so great. It's just good, dumb fun. So it's you versus one other person, and they'll say a line, sometimes 2, and then you've got to counteract that, and you've got 3 options usually, and you've got to like think about not only the flow of what you're saying, if it's going to sort of fit in with the bars that they've said, but also remember what they've said and counteract that. So, you know, it's kind of cool, and it's awesome when you're just seeing like these Viking dudes like throw rap-based insults at each other. To and fro. It's usually like a 3-round type of situation. But it's just cool because it just breaks up the game.
Viking 8 Mile. I was just like, I'm getting this weird visual in my head of a Viking wearing like a big sweater and a freaking beanie and a dark.
Well, you can like, when you go incognito, you put a hood over, so you could be rapping in the hood, like in the hood, like it's obviously
rapping in the hood.
Yeah, rapping in the hood of.
It's
Ye Old Britain.
It's unique, but like, I think I have to see it to really kind of understand like what it's doing there. But if it's like, especially if it's like kind of almost like rhythm based ish kind of timing kind of thing, I think I would really enjoy that. Yeah,
it's great, and it's cool that it breaks up just the game as a whole. Like, one thing that they've gone away from the previous games is, you know, usually you go into Assassin's Creed, you might go to one of the sort of eagle vantage points, and it unlocks the area, and then you just see all these bloody question marks with things, and it can get very overwhelming. They've broken it down now into sort of three main color-coded scenarios. So you've got yellow dots on the map, which ties into some kind of tangible item, piece of gear, book of knowledge, things like that. So skills or loot-based upgrades. You've got other ones where white dots tie into artifacts, which are collectible sort of scavenger hunt replacements. And then the other one, you've got blue dots, which is world events. And that's sort of like your little side quests and things like that. And some of the world events you come across are insane. Like, I was playing, and I reckon maybe an hour into the game, there was this one world event I stumbled across where this lady dropped like some fancy comb somewhere, and these dudes are running around trying to find it. And it's like, if you find the comb, you get to spend time with this gorgeous like woman from Norway. And so I found the comb, gave it to her, and then you go for a walk, and then she's like, if you want to stay, you want to bed me, let's go. And I'm like, all right, let's do it, lady. So within an hour, I slept with this woman, and apparently she's just like, she's some divorcee. Like, she lost her husband in battle, as Vikings seem to do. And she didn't want to remarry. So she's like, I'm just keeping busy, keeping myself happy. And it might be a comb this week. It could be a bracelet the week after, whatever. She's just finding these hopeless wannabe Vikings to find this thing and get her kicks. So, there was something like that. There was another one where there was this lady who was very upset with the people in sort of her township, and she wanted you to get all these viper eggs, so snake eggs, and you got them, gave them all back to her, and she cooked them up and ate them just so she could get really bad wind and like fart in the area to disrupt the people. So there's like, I guess similar to what you're saying with Yakuza, like you've got this really straight and narrow, serious Viking quest story about, saving your people, becoming a Viking legend. And then you've got this insanity
all
on the back of it.
the oddities around you, yeah. So it's actually really funny, like how many links there are between the two games that we're actually playing. That's fantastic.
Yeah, but it's been phenomenal. Like as I said, I'm about 20 hours in. I feel I'm probably halfway. I have been doing a lot of side questing, or blue dotting, or world events as they're called in this game. I have been doing a lot of just, the second I'll see like a gold beacon pop up on the map, I'm like, all right, I gotta go. That could be some new armor. That could be some more money, because then I want to upgrade my settlement. I want my township to be hustling and bustling. I want my people to be happy. And one other thing that's cool with that settlement is you're able to create your own specific Viking mercenary. So it's like your 2IC for your raiding parties. They're called a Joms Viking, which is like a person for hire. And the person you create, male or female, you can customize the armor, customize their look, and what they like as far as what they're wielding weapon wise. And then in the game, they're coming with you on all the raiding parties. But something that's cool is random other Yoms Vikings from people that are playing the game as well on that platform will randomly pop up to your settlement, and then you can pay 100 silver to recruit them into your crew as well. So it could be, rando user XYZ can pop up. You can recruit them, but you can also recruit your friends, Yoms Vikings, to join you as well. So if you're playing the game, you're sort of 2IC, I could pay 100 silver. They could join my crew on certain events, and then mine could join yours. So
I was going to say, you don't take them away, do you?
No. Like, so they're all
pay
existing in the
$100
same universe. And the crazy thing is, you can have up to 100 tied into your like, you don't have 100 with you in a battle. You have 8. I think it's 8. You have 8 core people, and then you've got just rando Viking XY on your long ship as well. But you have 8 that you can pick along the way. So you'll meet certain ones along the way that maybe just want to join your party because you're starting to become a bit of a badass, or you can pay that 100 silver to have them join as well. But it's really great. Like I love the Assassin's Creed franchise. I really love what they've done with the last 2 iterations, where they're in Egypt and then Greece, and now we've got Norway and Britain. I'm horny for Viking stuff, so I was immediately like sold for this game when it was announced 2 years ago. Yeah, thereabouts, whenever it was. So I've been waiting with bated breath for this game to come out, and I'm so happy that I've been playing it. I'm really enjoying it. I think, from a review perspective, like there is a couple little slight sort of tearing with the graphics here and there, or some of the characters don't always, like, it's not game breaking. It's not sort of destroying my experience.
Do they disintegrate?
They don't disintegrate, but I know that there will be like a quality of life patch day one that's going to give everybody playing this the experience. And that's the hard thing, I can think, when people like ourselves are playing some of these games before they're officially released. You do have the potential that this game might not be, like, it still needs a few more minutes in the oven. And it feels like there's just going to be a couple of little enhancements that are really going to add some polish. But the scenery and the world, like running around Britain and Norway. It's gorgeous. It is so pretty, especially when you're in Norway and you're climbing these big snow-capped mountains, and the Aurora Borealis is in the background. You've got the Northern Lights. It's so pretty. And one thing I'll just quickly touch on before we maybe park this, because we have been deep diving on these two games for a little while. The customization, going back to that, you can customize how your Ivar looks from a physical perspective outside of the weapons and armor. You can change their hairstyle, their facial hairstyle, their tattoos, their war paint. So you can really, really drill down and make this character your own, whether it be male or female, and have that proper experience for the way you want it to be, which I think is really, really cool. And you can find certain recipes out in the world or buy them from merchants to get more hairstyles, more facial hairstyles, more wall paint, more tattoos and things. So you can really, really pimp out how you want to look and how you want to, run around the battlefield. But I'm really, really digging it right now. We're going to do a spoiler cast, Jono and I, on this over the next week or so once he gets it finished. So we're going to do a full deep dive, full spoilers, full review style. But as far as review in progress, loving it. It's one of my favorite games of the year so far. And I can't wait to get back into it tonight and probably just play it all weekend. So I think it should be on everyone's radar, and anyone that is looking for that sort of next gen day one purchase, this was where I'd put my money. This and probably Spider-Man are the two where I'd say if you got the cash, they're the two where you should be throwing your money. So Assassin's Creed Valhalla, check it out this coming week.
It's on the radar.
On the radar. Yeah. All right. Quick bit of housekeeping before we get into the back end of this episode. Obviously, 8bit.net is our centralized website, but if you want some more direct hubs, 8bitnation.net or shop8bit.net for our official web store. You can get the best merch over there, t-shirts, hoodies, caps, you name it. It is all there. When you're done checking out our web store, obviously head over to audiotechnica.com or audiotechnica.com.au for the best audio-based equipment. You want headphones, microphones, gaming headsets, turntables. It is all there. You want to get into content creation, that is the place to start as far as your audio equipment. Or if you just want to upgrade your streetwear and your day-to-day daily listens, head on over there and pick up some headphones because it is the business. When you're done checking that out, obviously, if you can rate, review, subscribe us as well as all the other podcasts in the hashtag 8bit Collective on iTunes or your podcast player of choice, that would mean the world to us. Costs you no money, costs you no time, well, very little time, I should say. You can have a review written and submitted within 60 seconds and will help keep the emotional lights on in our hearts. And lastly, a little bit of housekeeping. Episode 11 of the Hungry Game Show is available right now over at patreon.com/weare8bit for the low price of $1 a month. And it sees one of the hungriest gamers ever come out of retirement to tackle Tactics Ogre, Let Us Cling Together. That hungriest game we're talking about, that's Reese Kirby dusting off the podcasting microphone for another hurrah, testing his mental might on this little ditty that I knew nothing about until I put this episode together. So it was a learning experience for myself too. But check that out, patreon.com/weare8bit. Otherwise, it will be on the Hungry Gamers regular RSS feed within the next week or so. So if you can't wait, it'll be available over Patreon. Otherwise, it'll be dropping after one of these regular releases on the Hungry Gamers RSS feed. But let's quickly talk about our friends over at Manscaped before maybe we get into a little bit of news. Okay, so episode 218 of The Hungry Gamers is brought to you by our new partners over at Manscaped. And we're here to remind you to keep your D-pad clean and level up your game with the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. Listen up, fellow gamers. If you want to maximize the responsiveness of your joystick, start taking notes as we take you behind the curtain.
The first thing you need to hear about is the Perfect Package 3.0 kit. It is loaded with everything you need to gigamax your Down Under battle arena. It comes with a Lawnmower 3, complete with advanced skin-safe technology by way of its patented ceramic blade.
And it also comes with a ton of other liquid formulations to round out your grooming routine. Some of these liquid tools for your family jewels include the Crop Preserver, an anti-chafing deodorant for your bait and tackle. This is a total game changer. Why are you not already putting deodorant on the smelliest part of your body, people? Just why do it? You'll never look back.
And next up is the Crop Reviver spray-on ball toner that is not only to refresh your bait and tackle, but also gives you a little pep in your step. The perfect package also comes with a travel bag, disposable shaving mats, and a set of the comfiest anti-chafing boxes you've ever worn. This is the perfect package for your perfect package.
And to get 20% off and free shipping, use the code 8bit at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com using the code ATEBIT. Remember, people, nobody likes a dirty controller.
This week's news headlines.
And the first bit of news, it is very sad because you and I were both a bit excited about this one. I know, I think Scorn was higher on your creepy list as far as Xbox exclusives, but the Medium has been refused classification here in Australia. The upcoming psychological horror game from Bloober Team, the studio responsible for Layers of Fear, Observer, and the recent Blair Witch adaptation, is saying that it may not release this upcoming title in Australia due to a ruling on the classification board website, which was first spotted by Kotaku. Refused classification means the game is effectively banned in Australia due to breaking some yet-to-be-specified rule. Most recently emerged that Wasteland 3 was almost banned in Australia for breaking a clause related to a supposedly indecent depiction of drug use. In an update, the Australian Classification Board has sent through a statement regarding the Medium's banning in Australia. It doesn't shine light on the reasons for the ban on a content level, but it does confirm that Bloober Team's IRAC submission breaks an unspecified rule. The Australian Classification Board itself has not received an application for the game. Here is the statement. On the 6th of July 2020, the IRAC, which is the International Age Rating Coalition, tool classified the Medium RC, which is refused classification. The tool has generated a refused classification decision in accordance with Australia's classification criteria from input submitted by the developer. As of 4th of November 2020, the Classification Board has not received an application for a game by the title The Medium. If the developer decides to alter the game, they can use the tool to classify a modified version of the game and a new classification will be generated. Holy Jesus Christ, that wording is woeful. IARC, what in the Christ?
Yeah, all official wording, right? And then all of this for nothing. We've now heard that they've had to push back the title?
Yeah, so it was slated to release December the 10th of this year, and it has now been kicked into 2021. It's going to be releasing on the 28th of January 2021. Cannot confirm nor deny if that will be in Australia, but at least most of the world will be getting the Medium. I like reading this and doing some digging. It feels like someone at Bloober Team maybe forgot to try and get this thing classified and approved for the Australian audience. Is the way it reads.
It's a bit weird, but it's also not the first time that that we'll experience the Australian Classification Board pushing back on specific titles. What was it was Outlast 3? Was it?
Outlast 2 got a bit of a peddling a couple of years ago, yep.
Then we also, although it wasn't a classification board thing, I don't believe, there was a lot of controversy about Detroit Become Human and scenes about, it was the infliction of pain or like attacking of children. Was that they didn't like? Or the specific scene where it almost looks like child abuse or... and then, as they mentioned in here, the Wasteland 3 as well. So it seems like Australia's still being a little bit, hung up on which games that they're going to allow or get like ratings. And then there's a limit, right? It's just things that they straight out say no to. Yeah,
it's just they're caught in the Stone Age. Like it makes no sense. Like the amount of film and TV that gets aired on our screens here in Australia with no regard of child abuse, rape, drugs, murder, assault, whatever, all the bad shit, all the controversial things that are pretty jarring for people to see. But when it gets then translated into game form where you have to press a button to do that, it's like, that's bad, but pressing a button to play it and watch it is fine. Like, I feel it's splitting hairs. Like, I know that you are indirectly controlling the act then in the game, but it's still a bit of media playing out in front of your eyes. So I think they need to try and align the ratings. Like it's something we've talked about for a while. Like we've only just had an R18 rating for video games here in Australia approved over the last few years anyway. But, you know, I just don't get it where you can be channel surfing and see someone get shot, overdose on drugs or whatever at any given time. Even during the midday movies, you see some heavy shit. Yeah. But games aren't, you know, they're the ones privy and deserving of the scrutiny. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, and like there's obviously little elements that they try to get involved on why they don't think that these games should be allowed through. But I'm wondering, like, kind of like you said, being stuck in the Stone Age, are they still thinking that a good majority of gamers are 18 and under? Like, there's us grown-ass adults still playing video games, and these games are made for us, essentially. And we're old enough and dumb enough to make our own decisions and play what we want, watch what we want. So if it's an accessibility thing, like you said, a lot of bad shit is on TV and a kid can click a button and it's there for them. So
yeah, like it's just the guidelines from film and television compared to video games here in Australia at the very least is just baffling to me. Like they've got these classifications, like there's an R18, you need to show ID to buy those video games. Like, yes, your parent or your friend who is 18 could still buy it and then give it to a kid, but that's no different to them also buying an R18 film or a porno and then giving it to a kid. Like, yes, it's not right and it's against the age rulings, but you know, it's just baffling to me. And I think it's going to just continue to be baffling to me and continue to disrupt the industry here in Australia and make it hard for games that are edgy or honest or confronting real world problems that I think deserve a spotlight, potentially getting refused classification. Like, it's just a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I think it's just very much, you know, they think, oh, it's the whole violent video games create violent people. It's that kind of old school dumb thought process where it's like, oh, he played a lot of GTA, so yeah, he's going to be a murderer. You know, that kind of shit. Like, it's just, anyway.
I played a lot of Cooking Mama and I'm not a master chef.
Damn it. I wish you were.
Oh, I wish I was too.
Yeah, see, and that's what I mean. Like, it's, they can hold, they play GTA or Fortnite or whatever, so they're going to want to buy a gun and shoot people. But yeah, if they play Animal Crossing all the time or whatever, you know, there's no one saying, yeah, they're going to get into the hotel industry and be really caring and great in hospitality. Like, they only take the negative spin.
I've played a lot of Senran Kagura too, and nothing's come from that.
You could get yourself into trouble with that game, though, because there is a lot of, you know, questionable aged females running around in that game.
Don't
it's
tell
a slippery slope.
See?
It's a slippery slope. But doubling back on the next bit of news to a game we were just talking about, and that's Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I have not come up against this fellow in the game yet, but fresh off their World Series win, the Los Angeles Dodgers have added another claim to fame. One of their team members has earned a place in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Outfielder Cody Bellinger will be playing a character fittingly known as Otter Sluggerson. Bellinger went through the typical character ranks of mocap, face modeling, and providing the voice for Otter. In Valhalla, Otter is a Dane with a knack for hitting rocks very, very far. A characterization not too far from his Arizona-born real-world counterpart, known for racking up the home runs on the baseball diamond. Otter is, of course, aimed with a large spiked club that allows him to make his big hits. Otter also has a distinct look of glare-cutting black under his eye, typically worn by outfielders like Bellinger. So,
why?
You know, yeah, it's unnecessary. Like, okay, cool. Maybe he's a big video game fan. Maybe he's mates with one of the writers or producers of Valhalla. But
it just feels so placed. Like, they didn't even try with the name as well. Like, Sluggerson.
Otter Sluggerson.
And he's good at hitting rocks. Okay.
Yeah, like, no doubt that's going to be one of those blue world events that you're going to come across in the game. I haven't encountered Otter Sluggerson yet, but I'll let you know when I do. But it fits in with that quirkiness that we talked about, I guess. You know,
it's such a shame too, because in like the American Baseball League, there are some very hairy Viking-looking dudes, and I think I saw a photo, or like at least how he's placed in the game, and he seems pretty clean cut. So,
Missed opportunities.
damn shame.
Yeah, like I know Josh Donaldson, who I think he's playing with Minnesota these days, but when he was with the Toronto Blue Jays, he was cast in the Vikings TV show. He had like a little tiny cameo in that. And he was bearded and like scruffy hair and stuff, so he fit the mold.
See, Hunter Pence is a big gamer, and he recently retired, so it'd be pretty cool that he could have put him in the game.
Yeah, and he's rocked a beard.
Yeah, he's got the beard. He's got the, a little bit of long hair going. You can see that.
Missed opportunity.
Very missed.
Missed opportunity. But anyway, it's more mainstream crossover stuff. Won't be not the first, won't be the last. But Otter Sluggerson. I'll let you know how that world event plays out.
Oh, please do.
Yeah, and the last bit of news we wanted to discuss here on THG 218 is the first round of next-gen console reviews are in. Obviously, the NDAs dropped over the last couple of days for both the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. And we didn't really want to deep dive on this because I think we will be doing deep dives once we get our hands on them and start to sort of feel these consoles out ourselves. But I thought we'd just maybe recap the verdicts. We've grabbed them via the IGN website there. And I'll read this little paragraph and then we can sort of talk about the scorings of both of these out of their scoring system of 10. In the Xbox Series X verdict review, we can only assume that the Xbox Series X will wow us with new and spectacular next-gen games eventually because there isn't much to judge on it right now. But in the meantime, no matter what current games you throw at it, your loading times will be drastically cut, your frame rates will be smoother, and your resolutions will be higher. This bold and minimalistic designed box is quiet, compact for This bold and minimalistically designed box is quiet, compact for both the power it packs and especially how it compares to the PS5. Capable and loaded with convenience features like instantly resuming and cycling between any of your recently played games. Compared directly to the PlayStation 5 specs, it flat out gives you more power for the same price. It's going to be a joy to see what developers actually do with it in the coming years. And it got an 8 out of 10, which equates to the word great for their review. And the PlayStation 5 verdict, with the launch lineup dominated by games that are also available on PS4 and on the back of a generation already punctuated with incrementally more powerful hardware revisions like the PS4 Pro, the PS5 doesn't quite land as a knockout punch yet, but it's definitely got the power and speed to be a real contender, although the jury's still out on the stamina of the tiny 667GB SSD. However, while the PS5's well-considered UI and blisteringly quick loading times for PS5 games makes it a pleasure to use, it's the DualSense controller that's proven to be the surprise haymaker I never saw coming. It truly leaves other controllers feeling primitive in comparison, and it also got an 8 out of 10/great score from IGN. So they've come out, and it's a draw. The first salvo is even Stevens.
I don't blame them, in the sense of, could you just imagine the backlash if one got way more than the other, I really wanted to hear if the PlayStation 5 was loud. I wanted to, hear about that, because it's a bigger console, it's got the bigger fan, which is why they say it's the bigger console, so I just kind of want to know that we're not going to experience the jet engine that everyone kind of experienced previously.
I think probably comparing the two from a noise perspective, trying not to sound like a Sony hater and all that kind of stuff.
Go on.
I'd say it probably will be louder, just knowing the hard and the fact that I guess sound was not mentioned in that recap, where the Xbox, they did say, it's whisper quiet, things like that. So maybe when you are running some of these games at the maximum capacity, you're going to hear that fan kick on and potentially muffle some of the sound coming through your speakers. So
it's a damn shame. And it's interesting though that they kind of listed one of the things as the tiny, for the PlayStation 5, the tiny 667GB SSD. Yeah, you can point that out, but at least PlayStation hasn't done the whole, you can only use one brand of external hard drive to extend, internal capacity. So you can link up any additional external hard drive to a PlayStation 5 as opposed to the Xbox Series X, which you could only use the specific one, right?
Yeah, so they've got their little proprietary slot for expandable SSD. Like, you can put a standard USB-powered hard drive into the Xbox, but you're not going to get them fast load times. So you're still going to feel like you're playing maybe on your One X or your One S. So you can expand your storage, but yeah, you're not going to get that bump as far as instant load, jump in, jump out type of situations. But doing the rounds off the back of this, I think the general consensus with most sort of news and media outlets on this is it doesn't feel like this is a necessary day one purchase for both platforms.
Nice.
Like they're all like, it's awesome, it's great, you're going to get better graphics, quick load times, but without like, you know, you think of Xbox Series X, you think if Halo Infinite was available day one,
Yeah.
I think the tune would be slightly different, where they'd be like, you need this game, you need this console day one, like get that in your mouth. Where PlayStation 5, yeah, they've got some awesome games like Miles Morales and stuff like that's cool, but the fact it's also releasing on PS4 takes a little bit of shine and sort of uniqueness and hype away from it. From my perspective, I'm still going to be playing it day one, don't get me wrong, but there isn't games on the list that is coming out at launch from myself, I'd say potentially yourself and most people out there, that are massive hooks that are saying this is going to change my perspective on gaming, you know, the second I play it and power it up. Like it's cool. I think these are consoles that are rippling through the industry and got people hyped, but it's more so as it sort of says on the final line here for the Xbox, it's going to be a joy to see what developers actually do with it in the coming years. So I think it's early adopter. You're going to be waiting 12 months to really see what this console can do when some of these other games start coming out. And same with the PlayStation 5, but the DualSense controller is getting all the hype and all the love with some of the intelligence and smarts that are tossed into it. So I'm excited to be playing with that and feel those haptic triggers and things like that. So yeah.
I've noticed a lot of people have also just enjoying the general like hand feel of the controller as well. You're welcome. You know, I still stand by the fact that they realized that Xbox had the more superior designed controller for in-hand. So I'm still going to stand by that. But yeah, a lot of people have been pretty impressed with the actual controller. So I'm looking forward to using it. I'm curious to see how much it enhances the experience. So
I was nodding aggressively to that entire statement.
Yes,
the Xbox controllers are the superior, but it feels like PlayStation now with the DualSense, it looks meatier. It's not going to feel as flimsy. Like that's one thing with the like the PlayStation 4 controllers, especially. It almost feels like you could twist it and snap it compared to an Xbox controller or a Pro controller. I like a little bit of weight in the controller, and so we're going to be experiencing that, and then just all the tech that they've pumped into that thing. It's really exciting. So can't wait. Like we're gonna be doing a deeper dive on these consoles over the coming weeks as well. Don't know if we'll do sort of maybe some standalone potties, just maybe mini ones on the PlayStation 5 and then maybe one on the Xbox. I don't know. It's something we'd never really talked about until just now, but just throwing it out there as we like to here.
Just reading the rooms and throwing some ideas out there. We'll see how we go.
That's it. Live workshops here at THG. But yeah, we'll do some deeper dives.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a bit curious, like, because it's definitely a question of like what people are interested in playing with these new gen consoles. Game wise, what's available? What are people looking forward to?
100%, and I think that segues us perfectly into this.
Tweet of the week.
And this tweet comes via way of those legends at We Are 8-Bit on them socials.
The best.
If you haven't followed them, be sure to do so because they're pretty freaking cool. So my mum says. And this tweet, next week brings next gen to the world. What's everyone going to be playing on day one? Question mark. And the first tweet response here we got from Australia's Jono Peck, at Jono himself. He's saying most likely Astrobot while Miles Morales installs. Yeah, that's fair. So Astrobot's a pack-in game for the PlayStation 5, and it really flexes and showcases what the DualSense controller is about. So it's like, I'm not going to call the game a demo, but the game is going to be demonstrating the hardware, you could say.
Yeah.
I miss pack-in games. I think this is great that we're seeing some of this again.
I miss PlayStation Home. Making a little avatar and just hanging out with strangers in weird places. Yeah. Bring it back.
Bring that back. Classification board's going to be all over that. All right, the next one at Calgar in bold capital letters, Demon Souls. I've pre-ordered the game. I'm terrified because this game is going to make me cry, probably emotionally, literally, internally, externally. I'm just going to be a mess playing this game.
My husband's so excited for it. He keeps on saying, like, are you going to play it? I'm like, no. And he's like, but look at it. He keeps on showing me screenshots. I'm like, no, I don't care. I don't care. I'm not playing it. I'm not a fool.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous.
It does
I am
look
a
good.
fool.
It does look good. Yeah, no, I'm not a sucker for punishment.
Yeah, this game, I'm going to be swearing so loud. And I guess I'll be thankful that the DualSense controllers are a bit sturdy because I probably would break it in half if it was a PlayStation 4 controller. Don Fisher at Dodgy Don Gaming, he says Destiny 2 and Sea of Thieves.
Nice.
Obviously, Beyond Light dropping this week as well. Which is very exciting. So we're going to see what that's all about. And then obviously we've got Destiny 2 available and Sea of Thieves available on Xbox Game Pass. So you can get those for the low price of, $10 a month or $14 a month if you're getting the Ultimate Game Pass. I'm keen to play some Beyond Light. Very keen to get back in, see this new subclass.
Yeah.
So excited.
Yeah, and just new story as well. Just getting some like background detail and everything like that, and seeing the development, where we're going next. So exciting times.
Heckin' yeah. Edward Kenway Marge at me_ed_person on them Twitters. He says for the Series X Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Nice. I respect that. Hat tip. And Gears Tactics. Oh. And on the PlayStation 5, Black Ops Cold War and Demon Souls getting some more love.
Forgot about Cold War coming out.
Yeah, it's just sneaking out as well. I'm going to be playing a bit of that. That's for damn sure, especially with that cross-platform multiplayer.
Yeah, true.
Okay, Jason Goulding at JaceGould76. He doesn't need to say nothing. He just gets that juicy screenshot of Miles Morales slinging webs, so we know what he's going to be playing on day one. Dazzling Dazza D, Astrobot, Godfall, timed PlayStation 5 and PC exclusive, coming out on the Xbox 6 months later. Dirt 5 and Spider-Man Miles Morales. And he's also saying we'll be getting Sackboy a little later on.
Oh.
I pre-ordered Sackboy.
Did you?
Don't know when I'm going to play it though. And the other game that escapes me now, it was a launch title for PlayStation. Something like, doesn't matter. I'm going to completely butcher this now, but it was like a Destruction Derby arena game with like Overwatch looking type of characters that was meant to be day one launch. It's been kicked into the future. And now it's going to be included free with PS Plus. I pre-ordered that game and I think I paid it off already. So I need to go see EB Games who like, mother effers, give me my money back because it was like $120.
Oh my God. Wow. Okay. I'm not going to judge you and I'm not going to judge a game that no one's played yet. But yeah, dropping that kind of money on it.
Yeah, I was dumb. Grox at JT Culverhouse. I'd say my main focus will be Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Dirt 5 on the hashtag Xbox Series X.
A lot of Dirt 5 mentions.
Yeah. Maddie Tilby at It's Tilby has been streaming a bit of that over on the Twitch and should have a review coming any day now to youtube.com/We8bit. And the last one at Brett NLL, which is Brett Medlock. He says on the PlayStation 5, Spider-Man Miles Morales and Demon Souls. And on the Series X, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War again, and Gears Tactics. Oh. So we've got an assortment of games there. We've got a couple of common hitters. A few that I noticed were absent from this list. Bug Snacks, which obviously PlayStation free game available on launch on the PS4 and the PlayStation 5. Some other ones there. We've got the Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, which is out available that day as well. And then sort of scrolling, we've got a few enhanced editions of, NBA 2K, Man-Eater and things like that. But outside of that, I think all the games of note that are going to be out day one have been mentioned there. Like obviously Yakuza Like a Dragon drops on November the 10th as well, which is going to get a bit more love, a bit more playtime. I'm keen to play some Godfall as well. I keep forgetting that that's coming out. That looks like, how would you it looks like merely Destiny. Like with weird god armor suit situations going on. Like it just looks crazy and frenetic, and the fact that you can play with squad mates, and it's a real world like looter. It's not shooter, like looter melee. I was trying to think of something cool and rhymey, but couldn't. But yeah, it's crazy. It's here. Next gen is here.
It's scary, like how it technically didn't sneak up on us, considering how much there's been pushback with both consoles, games, everything like that, plus the year we've had. But it's here. It's now. It's this week. Holy crap. I got to be hanging around the door for deliveries.
Yeah. Hold on to your butts,
my
everybody.
shit.
Yeah. Hopefully everybody's pre-orders arrive on the day they're meant to, or their pickups are going to be there on the day they're meant to. I hope it's as painless a process for everybody, not only consumers, but retailers. Because I know there's probably going to be people spitting fire for any issues and delays. The world is still on fire, so just be patient. Your logistical companies and things are dealing with a lot of stuff. Their bandwidth is stretched, so your stuff will get there. Don't be a dick. Don't get on socials and start flaming retailer X or Australia Post or whatever. Like, they're doing as good as they can. Just be excited you got the gear and you've got it day one, asterisks. Because as it stands right now, I still don't have an Xbox Series X guaranteed for day one. So, woe is me. But I'm going to haul myself out this coming Tuesday as much as I can to ensure I get it from somebody.
Just realized that's really brave of a guy that was pitching a console podcast just a second ago.
I totally feel... I will get one this week.
It's just real...
Come hell or high water.
That was real determination. He's just going to see a kid in the street holding theirs and just like straight kick him.
Yeah. It's going to be Jerry Seinfeld stealing that Bobka from that lady in the street.
Just challenge him
Shut
to
up, you old bag, and then just running.
Challenge him to a Viking rap battle.
Oh, yeah. Let's Flyte. I'll Flyte for an Xbox One X, Xbox Series X. I'll crush some mother fools in a Flyte battle. Let's do it. But yeah, it's been episode 218 of THG. The calm before the next gen storm. Holy guacamole, it's here after all these years and all these podcasts. It's here. We're going to be playing these consoles any day now.
Yeah.
My goodness.
We're going to be talking on a new level. We're going to be pointing out new and different things, and hopefully the game.
All them teraflops. What are we going to do with all these teraflops?
All them flops.
Holy moly. But yeah, this has been episode 218. I just wanted to quickly shout out. We haven't been talking much TV lately, but anyone that's looking for some stuff to divulge, stuff to consume, The Queen's Gambit on Netflix, I cannot recommend highly enough, about a young sort of female chess prodigy growing up in the 60s. That premise probably doesn't sound overly exciting, but trust me, it is phenomenal.
Sell it.
Utopia over on Amazon. Really, 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 really good. Very, very sort of real feeling watching that show, because it's dealing with global plagues and viruses and the media lying and all that. So it feels very close to home. Mm-hmm. Obviously, season 2 of The Mandalorian's out. Second episode dropped last night. So good. First episode for season 2 the other week. Saw Timothy Oliphant in it. I love you, Timothy. I'd sit and watch you read the paper, and I'd be happy. That'd be a great show.
He's a good-looking
man.
man.
Something that you and I have both been watching, Ted Lasso. Binged the shit out of that in one night.
Yes. I'm going to stand behind that one 100%. Ted Lasso, it's just a feel-good, like endless, just perfect episode to episode. Not a single bad episode between them. It's just such a feel-good, like lighthearted comedy with some real-world, like, real-life issues in there, thrown in there, but just lots of fun. I just did not see myself having a soccer/football TV show as being one of my favorites of the year. So, but it's so nice.
I got to say, Amazon and the various people making these trailers really undersold the show, I think. Because I saw the trailers, I'm like, this looks like shit. I've got no interest in this.
It looks so bad. It looks like, oh, this goofy American, he doesn't know soccer. Oh, like, it sold it like that. And I'm like, that sounds stupid. But it's not about that. It's just so wholesome. It's about, like, believing in yourself and the importance of believing in each other. And it's really good.
Yeah, Jason Sudeikis crushes it as Ted Lasso, and I cannot wait for the second season. Like, I was blown away. Like people have recommended this to us a few times over the past. It's been out now, maybe 4 months, I'd say, maybe a little bit longer. And I was just like, whatever, dumb show about American football coach teaching soccer. Like, how great does that sound? I rolled, but yeah, I put the first episode on and I was hooked, and I binged it all in one night until I watched it till I don't know 2 a.m. or something. Cause I'm like, I can't stop. I want to know what happens, and I'm really glad that I finally checked it out. So give it a spin. Yeah.
So one thing that I love about the character of Ted is he's just absolutely quick-witted, little quips that he has of positivity, and I'm like, this is so great. Like, who wrote this show? And apparently the guy that did Scrubs was involved, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but phenomenal show. So check those ones out when you've got some free time in between playing your PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X or S. But yeah, this has been episode 218 of THG. It has been our pleasure to bring it to you, 8-Bit Nation. But until next time, much love.
And see you in the next gen.
You've been listening to The Hungry Gamers, one of many gaming and geek culture related podcasts from the 8-Bit Collective over on 8bit.net. Check out more episodes on your podcast service of choice. And while you're there, please be sure to rate and subscribe. Until next time, boys and girls, stay hungry.